Good evening. My name is Shawn. I'm the pastor here at Fairview Presbyterian Church, and welcome to the church. If you need a bathroom during the performance, there is one as you go back and hang a right. Yeah, that's going to be the most convenient one for you all. We are very happy to host this production tonight, and we are very happy to partner with Greater Indy Nami for this great cause during Mental Health Awareness Month. So without further ado, good evening and welcome to Nobody Needs to Know, a play about mental illness and the impact stigma can have on the recovery and healing process. Written in 1989 by Carol Bozena of Child and Family Service in Hartford, Connecticut, Nobody Needs to Know was commissioned by the Mental Health Association of Connecticut. It was funded in part by a generous grant from the Connecticut Department of Mental Health, revised in 2014 by C.F. Varno to update the feel of story through the dialogue. The setting for the play is a self-help meeting for people who are dealing in one way or another with mental illness in their lives. During the reading of the play, experiences and feelings are highlighted through flashbacks of events and subconscious thoughts. The topic of mental illness is a broad and sometimes difficult one. Our intent tonight is to focus on the one aspect that we all have some control over and responsibility for, stigma. And now the play.
Hi, I'm Katie. I see my directions got you here. Great. One of my roles as a mental health advocate is to help people make community connections, and that's sometimes hampered by my bad sense of direction. How do you feel? A little nervous? No, it's okay. Lots of people are when they first walk through the door. Lots of questions too, I bet. That's because talking about mental illness is not considered comfortable conversation, at least where most of us come from. So we grow up knowing very little about the illnesses other than what we see sensationalized by the news, gruesome movies, or overheard jokes about loony Mr. Jones or crazy Aunt Sally. That's why I'm glad you're here. You're going to meet some people who know a lot about mental illness. No, not doctors or social workers, though some of those people could certainly be in those professions. No, these people, and perhaps you or someone you know, are dealing with mental health issues and stigma every day. This group is here to help them know they are not alone and discuss how to respond to their daily challenges. Here come Fred and Elizabeth now. Fred is in the insurance business, and he's been making steady headway up the career ladder. He's a capable guy, someone you can always count on to get the job done. Then, about 3 years ago, depression set in, and it changed him and the people around him. Elizabeth is the active mother of 3 children. Her 20-year-old son, Jimmy, was diagnosed with schizophrenia a year ago. After dropping out of college, he's had it rough ever since and is currently hospitalized. Elizabeth is a walking encyclopedia on illnesses as she reads everything she can get her hands on. Like so many other family members, she's searching for the whys of it all. People are really coming in now. That is Marie. She's been battling anxiety and depression for a very long time. She loves to write poetry, and we keep encouraging her to publish. Over there is Bill, who recently got out of the hospital. Hopefully work at the local restaurant is going better than before. And her? I don't know her. Every week there are new people showing up, so I don't know their stories yet. Oh, good. Kris is here. Haven't seen her for a while. Well, let's go in, shall we? Do I note some hesitation? You say you don't think you can talk with a mental health consumer? Well, the fact is you already have. Besides a very professional need for this group, I have a personal need to be here. I come for support to deal with bipolar. Surprised? Yeah, sometimes it's hard to tell the players without a program, but if you'd be more comfortable, I can let you sit here for now, no problem. This door is always open. Sounds like like the meeting? Oh, sounds like the makings of a good group. Let's get started, shall we? Whose turn is it to do the welcome tonight?
Well, I will. Welcome and good afternoon to the Mental Health Self-Help Support Group. Now, we don't have very many rules here, but what we do here is exchange. We exchange stories, we exchange ideas, we exchange frustrations, the whole 9 yards, the whatever. So, who'd like to begin?
I'll start. Gee, it's been a bad week. You all know I've been struggling at my job at the restaurant ever since I got back from the hospital. I was doing okay, focusing on the orders and getting most of them right. My supervisor's been supportive, but then Friday, one of my coworkers stopped me.
Hey, Bill. You know, I've noticed you seem much more focused and in a better mood these days. So, has something good happened?
I've been getting some help.
Oh, what kind of help? Is something wrong?
That's easy. Just make something up.
Well, wait a minute. Why lie? You didn't do anything wrong. Tell the truth. You're seeing a therapist.
Sure, but what will your coworker think? You're opening yourself up to ridicule. Quick, make something up.
Tell the truth.
Make something up.
Tell the truth.
Make something up, make something up, make something up.
So, what did you end up saying?
I made something up. I was so nervous after that, I just didn't want anyone to know I was seeing a therapist. I don't know, do you guys think I blew it?
Absolutely not, Bill. I don't think you blew it.
You did fine, Bill. You just weren't prepared to answer the question, and it threw you. I think you did what you needed to do at the moment.
Yep, get prepared to make something up. Don't give them anything they can use against you. That's what I do, and no one in my workplace has ever heard from my lips that I've been treated for depression. Too much of a risk.
You know, you might be right, Fred. You see, I've always tried to teach my kids, be honest. I've tried to teach them to be honest all their lives. But now, given the circumstances, and certainly for my Jimmy, even for the other kids too, I tell them, people so often believe that mental illness is catching.
Now, that's one for the Myth of the Month Club. Any other nominations?
How about the one that says mentally ill people never get well?
Or that they're not reliable.
What about not to be trusted?
And on and on. If we lie, all those myths go right on living because people won't know they have a competent mental health peer right beside them.
Are you suggesting Bill tell his coworkers? I'd never do that.
Seriously, Fred, are you really happy with a job where for 8 hours a day you work with people you can't really open up to? You're always on guard that someone may see you go into the clinic for medication or talk about the insurance forms you had processed. And if they do find out, will you be ridiculed? That's a lot of stress to put yourself under, and stress is something we want to learn to manage better.
I don't want to be limited by my illness. I've never felt this good before. Now that I'm regulated on medication and in therapy, I finally feel on top of it. I feel like I've been training for a title fight, and now I may be disqualified on a technicality.
Think about changing the strategy. If you're ashamed of who you are and what you've been through, how do you expect others to react any differently?
Yeah, I see your point. Thanks, I'm through.
Listening just now to Bill? Woo, Lord have mercy. I realize I've been holding on to something, and it's something that I've never done before. It was a beautiful day, I must say that. The weather was good, and it did bring out a lot of people, which was nice, but in some respects, a mixed blessing. Ooh, it all started when that nosy neighbor, she stopped me.
Oh, Elizabeth, I'm so glad to see you. I didn't think you'd come with everything and all.
Of course I come. Life goes on.
How is everything?
What do you mean, everything?
Well, I hate to intrude, but since you mentioned it, I had heard that poor Jimmy was back in the hospital.
Yes, he is.
Tragic, just tragic.
Well, let me say this. The doctors are very, very, very nice, and the hospital staff members are real competent professionals. They know Jim, okay? And you know what? He gets good treatment. As a matter of fact, while he's there, I am definitely hoping he'll get better.
Well, we do too. It must have been dreadful for you the last time the police picked him up. Drunk and disorderly, among other things, wasn't it? Well, of course, the papers are forever getting details like that wrong.
You know what? It seems that whenever Jimmy gets in trouble, it's a slow news day. Too bad the reporters run around to pick up his making the dean's list. They run around the time that he saved his little brother's life, when he saved him from choking.
Yes, well. The fact is, good news doesn't sell papers, Elizabeth. And ever since he dropped out of college, Jimmy's been a lot of bad news. I know the publicity must be hard on you and your husband. Have you given any thought for Jimmy to live elsewhere?
What are you suggesting? Oh my God. That we kick him out? I mean, you expect us to kick Jimmy out of our lives? Oh my God. We are his family. Let's be very clear. With our type of family, we stick together through the good times and the bad.
Oh, of course, Elizabeth. I never meant for you to disown him. I just thought it might be easier for all parties concerned if he didn't live so close to me. I mean to you. Can't you see what I mean?
I see crystal clearly what you mean. Oh. Ooh, let me find my kids. I need to go and find my children.
Why, of course, but think about what I said, dear. It's for your own good. And of course for the community and Jimmy. That way, nobody needs to know.
Hi, Mom!
Hi, Evan!
So, it's my turn to bat.
Who says?
Well, you've had about 1 million ups already.
Well, at least I can hit the ball. Whenever you're up, all you ever do is swing and miss.
So, I might not be as good as you, but you're not the best hitter either. And my brother Jimmy can out-hit you any day.
Your brother Jimmy? I didn't know they played baseball at the nut house. Why, by now you must be captain.
Shut up! Just shut up!
Oh, Evan.
Mom, I want to go home.
Why, sweetie?
I'm having the worst time in my entire life. Remember when I told you about that new boy, Corey, the one that I liked so badly? Well, we got to talking and we were having a great time and everything, and he asked me out.
Hey, honey, that doesn't sound so bad to me. Terrible at all.
Well, it wasn't until I saw him hanging out with Walt and the boys from the neighborhood, and I'm sure that they told him all about Jimmy, and then he stopped talking to me. So I just know that he's never going to talk to me again, and now he's scared to come near me. I just hate Jimmy.
Oh, sweetheart.
He's ruining my life.
Ruining your life, sweetheart. That's not fair. Don't blame him, sweetheart. That's not fair. It's just not fair.
There's Elizabeth, the poor thing. Looks like our whole family is falling apart.
Well, what did you expect? The woman was too preoccupied with herself while her kids were growing up, and now she'll pay the price.
But she was always so active. PTA president, soccer coach, Sunday school teacher.
Don't you think those activities take time away from your children? It's tricky business raising kids. You have to be there for them. I'm no psychiatrist, but I read enough to know that parents are a primary role in a child's success or failure. That's why my kids never made the news. I was determined that no one would ever be able to blame me for my children's problems.
Whew, my goodness. I didn't even eat the food, and I have indigestion.
Your story is hard to hear. It reminds me that the emotional pain we suffer is only half of it. The stigma we face easily matches the pain and not only hurts us, but our families too.
Why are people so cruel?
For many, it's simply because people don't have any contact or understanding of what it's like to be mentally ill. I battled the highs and lows of bipolar for years without knowing what it was. It was only after I sought out answers and got a diagnosis that I knew what was going on with me. But this wasn't information I had at my fingertips. I had to go out and look for it.
I'm sure for every person or family, it's like reinventing the wheel. When somebody becomes ill, about the only thing you do know for sure is it's not okay. Who do we turn to for help and support? Who can we trust to be understanding? Now, besides trying to cope with our illness, we must struggle over simply reaching out. Isn't it pretty obvious why so many people and families choose to isolate themselves? It sure beats inviting rejection.
Rejection. Now that's a heck of a place to dig out from under.
That's why we need to go out and tell our story. The more people know what's going on with each and every one of us, the more the world will understand and change. But of course, that is my opinion.
It sure is, Katie, and it's definitely one way to look at it. But we still seem to be knocking our heads about this.
I don't know what I'd do if I didn't have your head to knock against, Fred.
Hey, I may never be ready to carry a flag about this, but I do agree with it. You've got to talk to people about it. I really do. And I do talk to my family. My kids are older now, but my youngest was 9 when I first started having these symptoms, and they know all about my illness. They've been there, no pretending they weren't, and they've seen it all, and they feel they have more information, the better off they'll be. Hey, who's to say my children will be spared of mental illness themselves? And I certainly don't want them to wake up one day having to fight this disease and their own ignorance at the same time like I had to.
So, all your family is able to support you?
Well, they have their ups and downs, and it's been hard on one of my children at different times. And my 11-year-old one time wanted to break me out of the hospital because he was just so full of denial that I needed to be there. And then there was my teenager, and you know how teens are. They want acceptance from their friends, and they fall all over themselves just to be the same as everybody else.
Though the ironic part is, all families are unique in one way or another.
That's right, but try telling that to a 15-year-old. Being different is scary. It can cause a kid social problems. If they see you as getting in their way of fitting in, you could be in for a rough time. After being through it with all 3 of my kids, I realized their anger at me was, well, a lot about trying to be in control of their lives. I mean, when you go off on somebody, at least you've made a decision about whose fault it is, and you have someone to blame. That's a lot more understandable and manageable than taking on the whole world. I think that's what some of Elizabeth's daughter is doing. Some protective blaming.
I never thought of it as protective blaming. I was so busy being protective of Jimmy, I guess I missed her feelings. I just saw her as being self-centered. I saw her as being disloyal.
I guess we can be guilty of the same thing we fault the world for.
True.
Disregarding other people's feelings.
True.
How are you feeling, Elizabeth?
Well, surprisingly, not too bad. I mean, I was hurt. I would be lying to say that I wasn't. But it's different, okay? It's different now since I've been coming here. I guess I've gotten another reality to compare it to, so the guilt, it doesn't suffocate, it doesn't, excuse me, it doesn't suffocate me like it used to, okay? Oh, don't get me wrong. Sometimes it leaves me short of breath, but then I remember all that I've seen and all that I've heard in here. Lord knows it helps.
Yeah, like what?
It's simple. It really is. First of all, knowledge, okay? Like the knowledge that Jimmy has an illness, okay? Jimmy has schizophrenia, okay? Just like some other mother's son has diabetes. The illness may have a hereditary link. That's as much my fault as the color of his eyes. It just happens. I don't let the pointed fingers get me so down anymore. And I have learned to take it one day at a time. Yeah, so I've got a lot to sit with.
I don't know how all this is supposed to work. It'd be my first time here and all, but I feel like I need to talk, so I'm gonna take that chance.
I got some news for you. There isn't a right way to do it. What's your name?
Funny, it always seems like there's a right way and a wrong way to do everything, and I am forever choosing the wrong way. Oh, well, my doctor says that that's one of the things that is contributing to my depression. It's kind of perfectionism that I have, I guess, about my life. And, oh wait, speaking of the right way and the wrong way of doing things, you asked my name. My name is Carrie, and I was in the hospital for a week for depression. And then I had to go to the outpatient hospital for a little bit, and then I went back into the inpatient hospital because my medications weren't working right. Now I'm in the day treatment program, and I live in a supervised apartment. At least I live there right now. I mean, I can't stay. Well, I should stay, but I won't. I need to go. It's my kids. They're out there without me, and it's really hard. They're really too young to understand why I'm not with them. And it breaks my heart to see their confused little faces. Good Lord, they're even beginning to sound like me, saying it's all their fault that we're not together right now. You see, I want to be a good mother. That's part of the reason I came into treatment. I knew the way that I felt wasn't good for me or for my kids. But back then, I was unable to move from the couch or even take care of them. Deciding to go into the hospital feels like it was the last family decision that I've been able to make. All the other decisions have felt like a tug-of-war. I can hear them now.
You need to concentrate on getting well. You're not trying as hard as we'd like to see you try.
Mommy, when are you coming home? We never see you.
You need to take the prescribed dose doctor's orders.
Honey, when we visit you, you seem so out of it. It's like you're trying to avoid us.
This is no vacation. It's the hardest work you've ever done.
You're just lazy and using this depression as a vacation from your responsibilities.
God, it's tearing me in two. I want to be a cooperative patient if it means getting better. And yet, deep down in my heart, I know I still need to keep being a mom and a wife And that means staying in their lives, right? Being in their lives. I don't see how I can do both.
Boy, do I know what you're talking about. When I was in the hospital, I stopped taking a medication that would reduce my anxiety simply because it made me sleepy and unable to drive. I needed to drive to visit my children, who I placed in foster care at the time because I had no one to care for them. I kept asking my doctor for alternatives, but I couldn't afford the newer medications. They're not covered by my insurance. I just really wish that the insurance company would listen to me about what I need, or what my doctor would talk to the insurance company to get me on one of those newer drugs. Doctors thought I was being non-compliant, which I thought was a nice word for pain in the butt. When all the time I was just trying to comply with the best of my ability, with my whole life, not just the me who was the patient. It's frustrating to think that the mental health professionals believe when we enter into treatment, we give up all other identity except for that of a good patient.
Do the shrinks really believe we become only a patient and nothing more? Even on my worst days, I have a better sense of reality than that.
Good one. How come we know that, but healthcare people seem to forget it?
Being a doctor doesn't prevent them from taking on society stereotypes. Remember, they were regular people before they were doctors. There's a lot of crazy notions out there about people like us, you know. First one being they tend to forget we're humans, like them, and that we have the same basic needs and wants and desires.
Maybe they think that we're too sick to even care or have relationships.
When I was in the hospital, I started a wish list. You know, I wish I had this, or I wish this was so. Well, one of my wishes was for treatment facilities that had strong family components, like daycare centers attached to day treatment facilities and foster homes within walking distance, things that kept family disruption to a minimum.
Sounds like a dream come true.
Well, dreams don't come true without a lot of hard work. Our friends at the Mental Health Association have been busting their buttons over at the Capitol, trying to convince the legislators to sponsor some bills to promote a more family-oriented mental health system.
Well, legislators are hard nuts to crack. They're so afraid of upsetting their constituents.
Heck, who are we? Chopped liver? I don't know about all of you, but I vote.
1 in 4 people in this country have been diagnosed at one time or another with a mental health disorder.
That's an awful lot of people.
There's a saying, the personal is political, and it fits for sure here. But in our haste to jump ahead, let's not leave Carrie with her problem.
At this rate, I'll never get better.
Honey, I know what you're going through. It's difficult. You're using your precious energy to make sense of all this. Try to find the right answers. And I think the truth is, there's not a right answer, not with the way the system is made up.
Yeah, I think what Marie is saying is true. There isn't a perfect answer, Carrie, and I know what you're going through. It's real rough, and I don't envy you at all, honestly, but you've got to know that lots of people get better. Twice I've generally had what's called a nervous breakdown and ended up in the hospital. Felt awful and humiliating, but in coming through them, I know I can survive. I don't have to let things get to me. I know I'm more than my illness. I know that knowledge makes me and all of us stronger people, Carrie. It's a terrible bind you're in and an injustice the way the system is set up, but bottom line, if you only have these two choices, you've got to get yourself well for yourself and for your children.
I know you're right, but sometimes it just doesn't feel right to be centered on myself right now.
That's because the world is full of mother guilt. Look at how Elizabeth was being treated. What you're feeling is just another form of mother guilt.
I am responsible though, right?
You're not responsible for your illness, but you are responsible for getting care and taking measures to get better. That is what you are responsible for.
Is it really okay to do that though?
Absolutely.
Aren't I being selfish?
Yes, you are being selfish. And do you know what the definition of selfish is in my book? Self-love. And that's what you need right now, a healthy dose of self-love. You need to take care of yourself. It's the best thing you can do for everybody concerned in the long run.
But my kids don't have me home right now.
Yeah, that's true. And that fact is hard on everyone, but your kids are in a safe place, and now you need to get in a safe place.
Those words have a nice ring to them. Thanks. Please, someone else go now. Well, we haven't heard much from Kris. Kris, how you doing tonight?
Me? I'm doing just fine. No problems with me. I had a little vacation. I had 10 days up at the funny farm. Boy, that place is a real joke. A circus, a roar. I had a good time watching and laughing at the weirdos, sitting around, eating pudding. It was great. A real rush.
So, how come you were admitted to this vacation?
Well, I slapped someone when I was pretty tripped out one night.
What's tripped out?
I guess you'd say I'd been pretty manic, been partying hard too. Can't keep old Kris down for long. No, man, it's up, up, and away.
Hey, Kris. I remember a few years ago, I was like that too. I know the feeling. I used to run the streets till I almost swore I'd lift off the ground. But you know, all the time I thought I was having so much fun. I was just running from this terrible sick feeling that I was going to be coming down soon. That ever happened to you?
Yeah, I know the feeling. There's never an up without a down, and those downs are mean. Everything just crashes. I've been so wiped I could hardly move. I didn't care, just wanted to die. But I got things in order now, no sweat. Got something that sets me straight.
You're on medication?
Medication. I'm on medication, but mostly I'm my own doctor, if you know what I mean.
You know, Kris, looking at the two of us, people might think we don't have a whole lot in common, but I think we do. See, when I was around your age, I started having flip-flopping emotions that really threw me off guard. I didn't know how I might react in any particular situation. What I found was helpful, or at least what I thought was helpful, was alcohol. I could drink to pick me up and drink to keep me up. I became my own druggist, and my drug of choice was alcohol. Vodka, to be precise. What do you prescribe for yourself?
Pop, mostly. Lately, though, I've been expanding my drugstore to include whatever's available.
Yeah, if I was coming up today, I probably would be more into experimenting. But I was a housewife in the suburbs when I first started self-medicating, and I didn't have a lot of connections to drugs other than the local liquor store.
Hey, you're all right. Not a lot of people your age understand, especially my parents. Maybe you could hook me up with some of that vodka?
Afraid not, Kris. I don't drink anymore.
Now you're confusing me. You just told me it was your answer to the crazies.
No, I said it's what I thought was the answer. But it really was a mask. And rather than helping me, it ended up hurting me more.
How can a couple of drinks hurt?
Lots of ways. It covered up my symptoms, so I didn't have a clear picture of what was really happening to me. It played havoc with my prescription medications I was on for my anxiety and created another obstacle between me and my family and me and the world. Now, besides being anxiety-ridden and phobic, I was also a drunk, which, by the way, is pretty common.
That's true. Approximately 40% of persons with a mental health condition also have a problem with substance abuse.
For real?
It's real for me. I was in a treatment center twice for my alcoholism, and it was only after getting sober that I had the real chance to deal with my emotional illness.
How did it help?
I got pretty sick with alcohol, and I don't feel sick like that anymore. Now I look at the other problems. You can't deal with everything at once. Nobody's superhuman. I don't know anybody that can handle two problems like that at once.
But this is how I am. Anyway, I got a feeling my meds aren't working anymore.
They might not be. Psychotropic therapy or drug therapy is not an exact science. There's a lot of educated guessing that goes on when medicating mental disorders. That's why it's vital that the individual be part of a drug treatment team to let the doctors know how the medication is causing them to feel. But, Kris, when you're tripped out on street drugs and booze, your reactions are worthless. Who's to say what is causing what reaction?
Maybe it's making it worse.
Yeah, maybe it is.
So where would I go for help? I mean,
There are some really good places I can refer you to.
you do that?
Of course. That's what we're here for, isn't it? To help each other. You took a step. You came. You listened.
Yeah, well, that's all I think I'll be doing tonight. I'm not convinced I gotta go that route yet.
I know it's your life, Kris, so I'm trying to back off and let you be. But at the same time, I'm thinking about what the past 20 years might have been like for me if someone had told me at your age what you're hearing tonight. Well, that's enough for me. You know where I'm at if you ever want to talk.
So listen, maybe we could get a drink sometime? Coffee's a drink, isn't it?
You're on.
Whew. So, everybody feel done for tonight? Well, if so, I guess it's time to end.
Could the members of the prison outreach group meet here Tuesday to carpool over to the prison?
Prison? Why on earth would you be going there?
Well, to visit people with a mental health condition, of course. Once a month, we run a group similar to this. A couple of us have been going to the state mental health advocacy meetings and found that a shocking number of mentally ill Americans end up in prison instead of getting treatment.
That doesn't even address the higher number of depression and mood disorders that people are suffering in prisons across America.
The sad reality is that when they closed the psychiatric hospitals back in the 70s, they didn't have comprehensive community-based treatment in place to meet the needs of the mentally ill. And America started to warehouse people with a mental health condition in prisons.
Carrie, as you can see by this group's passion, we're a very committed bunch.
So, what do you think? I know it does feel like such a big step through that door. Society makes it big step, but in truth, it's only another step. Yeah, no questions about it. There's a lot of stuff on the way from here to there. That's because for some reason, this world of ours is forever linking difference with bad. Think of the attitudes and prejudices that are out there about being a minority in a race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, able-bodiedness, and on and on. Living with mental illness is just another difference. Still, it makes a lot of sense you not being ready to go in. The world doesn't really make it easy to put labels on yourself. But if you could look past the label and into the room, what do you see? People. Just people. People with some differences. Also lots of similarities. I guess that's the most important thing that I'd like you to remember about tonight. That there were people in this room, and now those people are going to go off and live their lives. Fred's going back to his middle management insurance job and struggle with cost containment. Elizabeth is going home to make dinner. Marie is going to try to get her poems published, and once a week or more, we'll all put our garbage out. See? Just people. No, I can't guarantee that we'll all be back here next week. We too have a lot to step over to get back here. But I have no fear that we'll all be back here sharing and caring. Now that's something to look forward to. So, take it easy and maybe we'll see you next week. Thank you.
I understand now we have an opportunity for a little